Hello. Here we're going to give a high-level overview of the new file update method. So to provide some context for this method, the assumption is that we have a set of files, or in this case, we're going to demonstrate with just a single file, where there's some type of work that's already been done in diffgram. So for example, maybe I already have a couple of passes or a couple of other items that are already created, and I want to add new data to it. So in other words, I want to use the same raw data and then optionally any existing instances that are already created in it. So we're going to walk through this example called test file update. And at the end, it's going to have added instances that were generated from a different process into this existing file. So to start, we need to get the file representation in the SDK. So here we're calling this project.file.getById method, and we're passing this ID here, which is shown up here. Then we're calling this frame packet map function to generate a frame packet map. There's some extensive documentation that covers the specifics of what this means, but just to touch on one key point here is that each individual instance, so for example, this box here is an instance, is going to roughly look like this, where it has some form of data about the spatial relationship. It has some form of label, so in this case, name, and it has some sequence number. And so in this case, sequence number here, number 1. And this can be an external ID or something to that effect. This is all defined on a per instance basis. So in the user interface, when we want to make a new sequence, it's a declarative action that we say we want a new sequence, and then we start saying, okay, this is sequence 2. In the SDK, it's inferred, so we actually go and look at all of the different data that's sent, and we determine which sequences to create. So instead of the user outright declaring the sequence, we go and create it given what's provided here. So this frame packet map, there's the effort to mock that up. And once that's mocked up, we're going to call this file.update function. So we're calling update on the file that we got. And I'm going to run this script here. And the way we can check if this has succeeded on the UI is going to the import and then refreshing the history here. And you can see now that I just had this one that came in and it was successful. And if I go back here, I can flip between two different files just to refresh this specific file. And when it reloads, you'll see now, if I play it, I have all these other sequences that have been created here. So this was what was being mocked here. There's up to frame 20, so it's frame 0 through 19 inclusive, and it said 2 sequences. So for example, if I change this number here to, let's say, to 1, and I change this to 40, for example, I save this, and I rerun this, and I go back to import, so I'm running this a second time, I can see there's going to be a new line that shows up here. Okay, that processed it, success. And then if I do the same thing of just going back to a different file for a moment to refresh it, and then now you can see, as soon as it loads here, there's a whole bunch of instances. So these are all the different ones, and you can see it's going to go all the way to frame, frame 36 here. You can see there's still all these different instances here. So that's the main idea, and the frame packet map format is defined. So if I go into the help documentation here, and I say, okay, well, I'm not quite sure where to go, I can go up to import existing instances, and then this walkthrough here, this covers all of the definitions that are needed. So disambiguating things like name and label and some advanced options, explaining the different types for different polygon, etc., and how we build up from a single instance to a list of instances to the map, which has the frame number and the instance list. And this update function requires the latest version of the SDK, which would be 0.2.2 something. Thank you.